What's going on, Tar Pit crew? Welcome back to the latest episode of the Tar Pit Postgame. We appreciate you joining in wherever you're tuning in from, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, where else are we at, Trevor? Facebook,
Facebook,
here,
YouTube,
here,
everywhere.
Snapchat, maybe. Who knows? Here, there, and everywhere. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, taking time. We're unpacking everything Heels versus UVA. Saturday inside Kenan Stadium. Trevor, title of this one is another game of inches. Literally, it was, man. Came down to the very last play of what first overtime. It didn't go into two, did it?
It didn't. Could have went to two. Went to two, but we went for two. So, yeah.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. We'll talk about that here in a little bit because I don't think me or you or Chris disagree with the call to go for two. We're packed. I actually went back and looked at that play in depth, and because I think Alabama ran the same play against South Carolina, but they converted on theirs. There's some differences between the two plays and the two defenses, and we'll get into that. I think we have a clip of it, but nonetheless, we'll get into all that here in a little bit. But thank you guys again for tuning in. Like I said, it's the latest episode of the Tar Pit podcast and the Tar Pit post game. Troy, Trevor, with the Tar Pit podcast, your go-to spot for all things Carolina football, down to recruiting, scouting reports, post-game reactions, a little pre-game day, pre-game shows here and there. We appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting our stuff. But Trevor, hop in here, man. Want to get your thoughts on the weekend. Obviously, we were at 140 Social Friday from 3:30 to 5:30. And those folks are awesome, man. We got a good video. Sat down with Noah and Grant. Noah Weiskopf of Heels 247 and Grant Chacheray of Tar Heels on SI, two very knowledgeable minds when it comes to all things Carolina football and basketball as well. Super happy to have those guys on. We actually had a guest on, a representative from 140 Social, to talk about the restaurant. Guys, if you haven't been to 140 Social, it is the spot to be at for game day. Come see us either the day before or on home games. We'll be there. That's our home for all of our game day shows and even our pre-game day shows. But Trevor, hop in here, bro. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. I'm getting better. Anytime you lose, it's a heartbreaker, right? And I was very emotional going out of the stadium. Didn't feel good about it, but I feel good about how the team played. I don't think any of us really. I mean, we had hope, but I don't think we really expected the game to go like it did, and for especially our defense to play that they did. 2 weeks in a row we should have came away with victories, but you can tell that this team is getting better and better each week. And we'll unpack all that. Tonight. But yeah, it started out, man. Shout out to Noah and Grant. It was a great day on Friday. It was perfect weather this weekend for Friday and Saturday, man. And it was great to have them on again. They were awesome on Friday, but the game, it was a lot. So we got a lot to talk about, but how's your, we couldn't start this without asking about your fantasies. How's it going today?
Man, I told you that I had made the trade for Javonte Williams because I was very thin at running back. So I traded away Tyler Warren for Javonte Williams. And right now in my three-peat league, if it'll pull up, we'll see. I'm up 111.48. I'm done. And he's at 76.08. He's got Terry McLaurin going tomorrow against Kansas City. And he's got Tucker Kraft going right now against Pittsburgh. So we'll see. I'm looking to go to 6-2.
Heck yeah.
I should be 5-3, back, bro.
I should be 5-3 after both of mine, but you can't go wrong trading for Javonte. I traded for Drake in both my leagues, so
yeah,
that's we're loyal. Our fandom, we're loyal guys. So
yeah, a lot of my guys were cracking on me. They were like, "You ain't gonna win a fourth championship in a row drafting all these Carolina guys." Because I had Drake at QB, I had Amari Hampton at running back, I have Josh Downs on my bench. They was like, "What are you doing? Are you sure you want to win a fourth one?" I'm like, "Watch and see, fellas. Watch and see." Yeah. Drake's balling. Amarian, he's on IR right now. I'm hoping to get him back around the bye week for LA. That'll help my running back room out a lot. And Josh had a good day today. I think he ended up with like 12 fantasy points. He's getting involved in that high potent offense down up in Indianapolis. So
I had him in one of my starts today, and one of mine that I was thin at receiver. But it was a good day, man. I gotta, the fans probably, or I say fans, the people watching, supporters probably saw my son here. So we ended, today was his last soccer game, and he ended the year undefeated. And he's probably one of our biggest fans. After every episode, we go back and we have to watch on TV, the YouTube version of our clip. So I told him today, if he scored a goal, that I'd let him come on the show for a few minutes at the beginning. So we've got it's not that good, but he scored a goal in every game but one this year, and they're undefeated. So he earned it. So I'll let him get a little shine so he can see himself on TV. You want to say
Ryder, congrats, buddy. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Hear you. He said congrats. Say thank you. Thank you. He's a little camera shy, but
no, ask him what number is he?
They don't have numbers yet. It's the wildest thing. Yeah. See, they don't have numbers, but he tried to play dead after he scored the goal and made his teammates pick him up. Some soccer player stuff. If Chris was here, I'd be giving him crap because he was a soccer player. So,
but that's awesome, man.
It was a good time.
Let's jump into it, man. I got we opened up the phone lines to you guys shortly after Carolina's game against UVA on Saturday, and got a few voicemails that we're going to trickle in throughout the show, but want to lead off with two. Trevor, we'll get these two voicemails going, and then we'll get our thoughts on it. We'll give our thoughts on that, and then we'll jump right into it. I want to switch it up a little bit. Instead of going offense first, we're going to go defense first. Sound good to you?
Storo, Tony. My hot take is that I had no problem with Bill going for two there. Agree with the call. I even like the play call. My only thing is I just wish with our rollouts, like I would have loved that play call if it was just flipped to his throwing side. The one thing that quarterbacks are told never to do is to throw across their body. So I have problems understanding why we continue to roll our left-handed QB out to the side in which he would have to throw across his body in the first place. Other than that, I think the team's very obviously improving. Not mad at the game at all. Most people would have thought that we got beat by a pretty large margin, but I think our boys are improving every game.
Yeah, for sure. So Trevor, I'll kind of give my thoughts on this, and we'll get into it a little bit more in detail. So you've actually brought this point up quite a bit after the game about Gio and his, them rolling him out to his off throw inside, I guess you can say it. But if you go back and look at that play was actually so we rolled him out to the right side, which is his off. That's not the side ideally you want Gio Lopez being a left-handed quarterback. That's not the side you want him to roll out to. You want him to roll out to the left because it's more natural for him to throw as opposed to him throwing across his body, rolling out to the right. But if you go back and watch that 2-point conversion play, where the ball was spotted was towards the left hash mark. So it was the short side of the field. They ran the play to where the most of the field was, which happened to be on the right side, and Gio's just got to make a play. That's kind of my observation on it. I know there's been a lot of people criticizing him rolling out to his right, but if you roll him out to his left in that situation, then you're running the play to the short side of the field. The defense can use the sideline as an extra defender way better than they can if you run it to the opposite side of the field, which is what they did. It created more space. Gio, in my opinion, should have got the ball out a lot quicker. I actually went in depth on this play. I watched this play over and over and over again, so I'm confident when I say that. But Trevor, hop in here. I want your thoughts on it too.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the decision to go for it because I may be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure since Virginia was on offense first in the first overtime, that our offense would have had to get the ball first in the second overtime. And I'm not sure that, we had 2 turnovers in the red zone. We've seen, we haven't been good in the red zone. We haven't been able to finish drives and score points. Yeah. So I completely agree because I'm not sure if we get that ball right, we kick the extra point, we get the ball, we're able to score another touchdown. To be honest with you. So I completely, you got a chance to win the game. And I'm curious to see, I mean, we won't ever get this answer, but I wonder if Gio is instructed to roll out there, or if that's something he did on his own. Because we were up, and I'm sure you'll bring this up later, but our whole section was yelling 28, 28 about as soon as the ball got to him. And I do think, and I could be wrong, but I do think if we get the ball a little sooner, there's a better shot he scores. And it was still close. Benjamin Hall made a heck of a play, but we saw Coach Dan Casey. Shout out to him. We've brought him up 2 times now on the pod.
Might have to get Coach Casey on.
That's Shaq's guy. So you see here, Bama ran the exact same play. They didn't roll their quarterback out though. He did a good job getting the ball out right away.
And so Bama had more of a if you look at where the ball
coverage.
If you look at where the ball's placed, it's on that left hash mark, right? They can't roll Gio out on that play to the left to his strong side because they're running it to the short side of the field. That's why I say that. But I'll get into this a little bit more because I actually compared both plays from the defense. We got a zone look. Bama got a man look, and that obviously is a better, one-on-one matchup. Given those, between the two, but we'll get into that a little bit more. I want to play the second voicemail, and then we'll get into the defense a little bit.
Hey fellas, this is Will from Franklinton calling in. Just some post-game thoughts here. Having time to digest it again. Defense looked outstanding. Finally actually looked confident in what they were doing. Staying true to their assignments. Getting tackles, open field tackles look great. Just hope that carries over to Syracuse on Friday night. Offense still stepping back. I hate to say it, but Gio's got to sit. We win the game by 2 scores if Max Johnson's in the game. There was just too many deep balls. They were throwing guys' heads, balls thrown out of bounds. Didn't get to his 3rd or 4th reads. Missed Cody Pacer on a crossing route, I believe in the 2nd quarter. Probably would have led to a touchdown. Just a handful of different plays that led to ultimate failure of what we got today. Looking better though. Progress is what we want. Progress is what we're seeing, I guess. And hopefully Syracuse will win we'll go and beat Syracuse on Friday this week. Thanks, boys. Have a good night.
Trevor, I'm gonna let you take that one first, bro. I went first last time.
I mean, defense, I think, is looked good. The past few weeks, they're continuing to get better and better. You're doing this when you lose Price Yates, a guy that was coming in, was supposed to be our, one of our main pass rushers. Got a lot of guys that are stepping up when they're getting more playing time. They're making plays. And I'm very excited about that defense. You're also doing it without Thaddeus Dixon, who is an NFL player. And probably your best player on the defensive side right now on that team, So I agree with that. As for Gio, I think Gio played good in the first half. I think we finally had an offense that worked for Gio. Gio made some good plays. I seen him changing arm angles, making some throws. Gio should have had a touchdown to Kobe if he doesn't fumble. He had the game tied. I mean, he almost had another touchdown to Kobe. Kobe gets tackled, and Gio sneaks it in to tie the game at half. So I think we saw that the offense that we have been saying, you got to put an offense around Gio. He did it in that first half. And then in the second half, I haven't went back and watched and even in the second half, he made a throw there that we should have won the game. Yeah. I mean, the receiver, I at the time, I didn't agree with the play call to take a shot there, but the receiver should have made the catch. I hate it for him. That's a young kid. He played very good yesterday, stepping up. But I mean, God, it's just, we've got the worst luck, man. Usually this play is either a catch or probably a PI call. We just happen, it bounces up right where the guy's at. We've got the worst luck with that. But I think in the second half, and I'll pass it back to you, it seemed like we played it more safe, and we went in that first half. We were 5 wide. We didn't run the ball until the 6th play of the game. And I mean, it was that 173 yards is more than what Gio was passing for in the whole games for a few of the games we've had this year. So
yeah,
I think the offense got better too. You got to build on it. I mean, obviously he's not perfect. He made a throw and that was bounced off a helmet and got picked, but it should have got picked if the guy hadn't went through his hands anyway. So I mean, he's getting better, but you know, we got to go with what we got.
Yeah, I will piggyback off of you, and then we'll get into the to the defense a little bit. But I will say we'll get into the defense a little bit more. I should say I will say the defense. I will agree the defense did look good. They carried their momentum from that performance against Cal. I think I will tip my hat to Steve Belichick. He's had that defense as a whole ready to play the last 2 weeks. And you can tell that they've game planned and I mean, Virginia rushed for 59 yards. I mean, that was their season low going into this game, other than Louisville, I think 2 weeks ago, where they rushed for 88 yards. I mean, so, and we'll get into it a lot more. We've got notes here breaking down some things, individual performances, and just kind of what went into the defensive success. But where I do disagree with you is where you say Carolina wins the game by 2 scores with Max. I don't necessarily know that that's true. Yes, some of the things Gio did, I'm with you, Trevor. I thought Gio did some really good things that first half. And I don't know whether it was more Virginia tightening up on their defensive side adjustments after the halftime, or Carolina just went away. I don't know which one it was more, either that or Carolina just went away from what they were doing. But, I mean, what Jordan Shipp have at halftime? 6 catches for 60 yards, and then he ended up with one for 7 in the whole second half. I mean, you know, it's one of those things, man. Madrid there at the end, mind you. You know, we rolled that clip just a second ago. That's a true freshman in Madrid, Tucker, going
that
up
just
there.
Got here in the spring. He just got here in the spring.
That just got here in the spring, and he was all over the place. Led the team in receptions with 8, 41 yards, and obviously had a chance to go up there and make a big play and set Carolina up for a game-winning field goal. But you know, just couldn't squeeze the ball enough. But in that play, in that moment, that play call, it was head scratching to me, because right before halftime, Reese Verhoff misses a 48, 50-yard field goal right in front of, almost identical to where we were almost at the time Gio threw that jump ball up. And me, I was telling you and you guys, I was like, let's just get to where Reese was and give him another chance to kick the field goal. Let's win this thing. You know, at least at that point, and you were telling me too, you know, let's get some extra yardage, at least make it a little bit closer to where we're inside where he just missed from. But I think down and distance had a little bit to play on why they didn't end up doing that. But definitely a questionable decision, in my opinion. I mean, I could honestly say if I was in that position, I would have went somewhere else. I would have probably tried to pad the yardage. I'd have to go back and look at down and distance, but I would have tried to get some extra yardage and try to kick a long field goal. At worst case, you miss it and the game goes into overtime anyways. So, I mean, Virginia kneeled the ball down the very next play. So
yeah, and I looked at Chris right before that play and I said, you got to tell Gio here, don't do nothing smart. I mean, don't do nothing dumb. We're playing for a field goal here. Don't do anything. And I mean, if he catches he threw a good ball, the kid should have called it. And if he catches it, we're not having this conversation. But also, you've got a 5'11" wide receiver out there who's a true freshman going up against a 6'3" defensive back. If we've got, a bigger, maybe I agree with it. And that's a junior, a 6'3" junior out there. But like I said at the beginning, that's a ball that normally is probably either call or it's a PI call. Their corner they made a heck of a play. Their safety came over and made a heck of a play. And I wonder now, thinking about this, I was so upset and I'm going to ask this and throw it out there, but I think Bill kind of realized that he should have got more yards and set up at the first half. And he didn't want to make that mistake again. And who knows, with these kickers, you already know it's a mental thing. He might have, wanted to take a shot just to, not play for a field goal because he felt like who knows what went into that. But I don't agree with the fact that it was Tucker out there because of the size difference. But if he catches it, which he should have caught.
Yeah, you almost want Jordan Shipp in on that play. But honestly, man, and I will say this, we can talk about bailing him out, but that play, he has got to make that. He's got to make that play. I don't give a damn if you're 5'11", 150, soaking wet. You're a true freshman, been there 3 months. I weigh a buck 80, and I'm nowhere near what I was in high school and college, and I could go out there and probably make that play. I mean, I'm not trying to down the kid or not. I will say this: it's like Nathan Leacock last Friday night against Cal. That's a freshman. You know, Nathan Leacock's what, a sophomore transfer. Those are two young guys. Nathan hadn't really played that much leading up to his Carolina career at Tennessee. You know, that's a teachable moment for him. This is the teachable moment for Madrid Tucker. Now, will he – I do think he bought himself, or I won't say bought, but he earned himself some more playing time. Belichick says it all the time of guys getting more opportunities. And you know, you do – whoever does the most with those opportunities will reap the benefits of it. And obviously Madrid's been, you know, making some noise in practice and stuff that we can't see behind the scenes. They gave him an opportunity and they made the most of it. Would I have loved for him to catch this pass? Absolutely.
He would have been a hero, wouldn't he? He would have been a hero, bro.
I think everybody in the stadium would have wished he would have caught that pass, but he didn't. But you can certainly look at it as a teachable moment. While it doesn't help the situation, I'm almost throwing salt in the wound, I guess you could say. But if you're trying to take some light out of it, that's a kid that, as a true freshman, is putting that opportunity. And he was just, you know, just like Carolina was the last 2 weeks, a few inches from winning 2 football games and sitting at 4-3, and us having a completely different discussion right now. You know, he's a couple inches away from not – he didn't make the play a couple inches, and here we are having this conversation. But go ahead.
And Bill could have saw that Marcus Allen PI call and just said, I mean, let's just run this. This guy's going to throw the flag, right? I mean, he's going to throw the flag. You don't even got to touch the receiver. And that was flag, so
that play was more PI than what they called on Marcus Allen.
Yeah, and it was right there in front of that official, but we didn't get a flag there. So yeah. I'll what does Chris say all the time? I digress. Right?
I digress.
But I mean, it feels good to be able to come on here tonight and talk about a team that's getting better.
Yeah,
we said it earlier in the year. We can take losses. We don't like not being competitive at all.
Yeah,
and this team is getting better. So shout out to the staff. I'm gonna throw you a curveball here, Troy, and I'm way ahead of myself. I'm always doing it. But if Steve Belichick, I know there was a rumor, and it's not true, that it was supposedly Bill in the contract. Bill's gonna leave, and Steve, that was not in the contract. That's not true. But if this defense can keep getting better and better, I wouldn't mind if we keep doing this. I wouldn't mind them taking the reins, man, because the blueprint for college football success right now is you get a defensive-minded young coordinator,
defensive-minded coach,
and then you bring in an offensive scheme guru. You know, and I messed up that word, but you bring in an offensive mind to run your offense. So I mean, let's just keep seeing and talking about that defense performance as a whole, man. That's a very young defense. Almost all those guys yesterday, or I think all the guys they're able to come back next year that had the sacks on the defensive line. So a lot to build on.
Let's jump into defense a little bit more. Before we do, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Be sure to drop your comments in the chat. We'll be sure to throw you up here. If you have any questions, want your voice to be heard, anything you want us to discuss while we're on air tonight, throw it in the chat. We'll be sure to throw it up here, and we'll have a quick conversation about it. We obviously love interacting with all, you know, the Carolina fan base as a whole. But we appreciate you guys tuning in wherever you're tuning in from, whether it be YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. We appreciate you being here with us here at 9:00 on a Sunday night, talking Heels versus UVA.
And appreciate the voicemails too, man.
Yeah,
I think we were not sure how many we get. We got a good amount, so appreciate you guys for calling in.
Yeah. Melcart is a beast. He's evolving. Let's jump into defense. So we'll get into Melcart a little bit more. Trevor, UVA comes into this game, man. You spit off some stats to Preston. What are they averaging? They were top 20 offense in the country, averaging like 400 yards of total offense a game. Looking at the Russian stats, because this was very glaring to me. Going into this game, and I'm gonna rattle these off to you real quick. 164 versus Coastal Carolina, 257 versus NC State, 379 versus William and Mary, 206 versus Stanford, 211 versus Florida State, 88 versus Louisville, 122 versus Washington State, and 59 versus Carolina. That's the game-by-game breakdown of how many rushing yards Virginia had a game coming into Carolina. And obviously they rushed for 59 versus Carolina, but a season low going back to 88 yards versus Louisville. And I just kind of have to give a shout-out to the and that is the season. That is a season low. And I think they averaged 1.7 yards per carry, which is also, I believe, a season low. I'd have to go back and check what they averaged against Louisville. But nonetheless, Carolina did its job on the defensive side of the football in stopping the run. They rushed for 59. Jamari Taylor had a touchdown, 21 carries for 69 yards, and was really a two-man rushing attack because we raved about Chandler Morris and his ability to beat you with his legs. He went for 9 carries for negative 21 rushing yards and no touchdowns. So if there was an emphasis on anything, it was stopping the run. And Bill said it after the post-game press conference. And I'll be honest with you, man, that one was a tough one to watch right after the game. You could tell he was visibly upset about losing that football game. The guys are right there at it, and especially the way the defense had Carolina. The defense gave Carolina every air and opportunity to win this football game, and the offense couldn't get it done. And we'll get to them a little bit more, but I want you to jump in here, Trevor. Let's talk about Carolina's ability to slow down Virginia's high potent offense. We'll get into some individual performances. Obviously, there's a lot of bulletin board material with this one, with some of the guys that we had pop off on defensive career. Season high 6 sacks against Virginia, and I loved every one of them.
And that's a Virginia team that had only given up. Preston told us the other night 5 sacks all year.
Yep.
And we had 6. And our D tackles, man. Melcart will get all the praise. He had 3 sacks yesterday, but our D tackles were dominant, yep. Man, destroying the run game. I think we had 2 of them get sacked. CJ Mims, Isaiah Johnson. They were dominant yesterday.
Yep.
They played very, very good football, and I'm ecstatic with that. And then looking in everybody's complaining about our offense. I get it. If we're so used to, we've been spoiled the past 5 years.
I say it all the time.
And maybe even, I would have loved to see this defense with Drake May and Sam Howell, but,
now I will play a little devil's advocate here, Trevor. Cause I was very, I've been very, how am I trying to put this?
I've been very beat critical. Up our secondary a little bit.
I've beat up the secondary a little bit, but I do think the defense as a whole the last 2 weeks has definitely showed up to play. They have not been the reason why Carolina has lost those 2 games.
Yep.
And I know at the end of the day, football's a team sport. If the defense looks good and the offense doesn't, it results into a win or a loss either way. But nonetheless, Carolina's defense the last 2 weeks have showed up to play, and we've had a chance to win. As bad as what is the word I'm trying to look? Porous, I guess that's a good word to use. As bad as our offense has looked, our defense has willed us to 2 games in a row having a chance to win. There at some of the and in the crunch time.
And I'm gonna throw another stat out here real quick for you, dude. We had. Our offense, we were upset with it. Virginia had 259 total yards. That's a top 20 nationally offense, averaging over 40 points a game. Yarded, they could do it all. We had 353 total yards
of offense.
We of offense.
Now
we almost outgained them by 100 yards,
and we
left a lot. We left a lot out there.
We were, and we'll get into offense here in a little bit, but it was crazy. If you would have told me that Carolina has over 300 yards of total offense and Carolina limits Virginia to under 300, then I would have said Carolina wins the game
by 10 plus.
I wasn't going to say the score, but I would say Carolina would win just because you don't know what you're going to get with them this year. You know what I mean? But I would have liked Carolina's chances given those 2 stats, and they won the time of possession. I think we had 37 minutes of time of possession to Virginia's 23. So I do think there were some things. We talk about the secondary. We mentioned we brought up the D-line. CJ Mims starts it off, first play from scrimmage for Virginia, and sacks. I believe it was the first play. It's one of them. Sacks Chandler Morris. And then from there, it just, guys did a great job, on one-on-one matchups and getting to the pressure, getting to the quarterback. And one thing I will praise is their relentless pursuit to get to the football, no matter who had it. Carolina did a great job Saturday, and for 2 weeks in a row, they did a great job. I said it after the Cal game. They did 2 weeks in a row. They did a good job of putting blue helmets on the football, Carolina blue helmets on the football. And they did it again this week against a UVA team that runs the ball really, really well and it's got a mobile quarterback. They had a relentless pressure on Chandler Morris, and their pursuit to finish plays and get him down in the backfield was honestly awesome to see. This defensive line unit has been a room that has gotten a lot of slack, or had gotten a lot of slack going in to the season, and probably rightfully so. They had some guys that had some experience at some positions, but looking at what you brought in versus what you lost, there were definitely question marks to be raised and in that. But this is a unit that's progressively gotten better each week. And certainly the last two. They put a pressure on Chandler Morris that allowed, guys like Andrew Simpson to get a pick. Marcus Allen, I think he got him a pick, even though they called the bogus PI on it. So we talk about it all the time, man. And Noah said it on our pregame day show. The defensive line has got to put pressure on the quarterback, or a consistent pressure on the quarterback to bail your defense out, to bail your secondary out. And I felt like they did a good enough job of that on Saturday to set the secondary up for success. They did with Andrew Simpson. Obviously, I don't think Carolina turned that turnover into points. But then the Marcus Allen interception, I kind of want to touch base with you on that a little bit too, because Carolina should have had 2 picks in 2 critical moments. Now, would the offense have done anything with it if Marcus Allen's PI would have stood a chance? One could probably argue not, but that was a key moment in the game where, that was a terrible call.
Hey,
terrible call.
It was horrible. But I will say, even with that, all year we have seen when our play like this happens, our defense is unraveled and we gave up points. This was the drive that we stopped them on the 1-yard line and got the ball back. So they stepped up. All year we've seen look at TCU, the Marcus Allen PI that should not have been a PI in my opinion there either.
They folded.
They folded, right? We've seen it happen time and time again. But that I haven't watched the full clip from the start, but I was watching
need to roll
it with
that
my
back
own,
some a little bit.
I was watching it with my own eyes from up top, and it was terrible. It was terrible.
Do you see the area of separation between Marcus and the offensive
and
guy? Look at that.
The official had his hand on the flag ready to throw it before the play even had finished, bro. It was I don't but nonetheless the defense stepped. But look at him, he's got it ready. Look at he's just got his hand on the trigger.
I tell you what that was. That was Vegas calling in, because a lot of people put money on Carolina money line, second half money line. And they needed to swing the game to Virginia's way. That was Vegas.
I had the under, so they were trying to spoil it. I had the under, but yeah, man, that's horrible. And then going back to Andrew, man, he about had 2. He about had 1 went right through his hands. It would have been a pick 6. But he continues. Michael Lombardi has got a lot of slack from people in the media from saying he didn't do the best job with bringing in the guys they did. But he went out there and balled out. So Andrew Simpson, we nailed that. Kamari House, obviously, came over from Washington. We nailed that. But also, I can't stop and pass along, and we end on not talking about the defense, but Melcart, dude. Yeah. Melcart, we absolutely nailed that evaluation. And I hope like heck, we keep him, because he's going to have a lot of money thrown at him in the portal. But he's a ball player. And I got this, I put this in my notes here. So he had, led the way yesterday with 3 sacks. There was an interview after he was he was asked a question, and he said they told us all week their O-line had only allowed 5 sacks all year. Our mentality was they hadn't played our D-line yet. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Well, you look at the production that you're getting out of Melcart here the last couple games, it makes Price Yates, which was a highly sought after player in the portal. I mean, he was a guy that we as fans and I know the coaching staff was excited to get him because just the potential that he had. But having a guy like Melcart come in, and he's a guy that transferred from FCS from Delaware, an FCS program, and just comes in and has been lighting it up the last 2 games. But my point being is that it makes the situation with Price a little bit easier to kind of get over because you've got that production from Melcart and what he's been able to do. I didn't realize how big of a dude. 2 people I didn't realize how big of dudes they were is Tyler Thompson and Melcart. Those dudes are freaking huge.
They're massive, and I'm glad you brought up Tyler because I wanted to mention him next. But on Melcart, I want to bring when we did our evaluate. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch our breakdown. We've got a segment where you can just watch our breakdown of Melcart. But Chris said he had a motor like Cayman Rucker, and I was like, that's big. That's big shoes to fill, But he's impressing me every week. And then on our guy Tyler Thompson, dude. He's had 3 sacks in the past 2 weeks. And that's another guy. He's just a sophomore. He should be back next year, man. We can keep these young guys we have on defense around and add on to what we're going after in the portal or probably going after in the portal, and then what we have coming in with the recruiting class. It's going to be fun to watch. And I think absolutely. I mean, Chandler Morris is one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the ACC. I believe from North Texas last year, he led the country in passing yards or was up near the top. So I think he's one of the top. I won't say he's the best, but I'd put him in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, I have no issues with Tab, and Chandler Morris is one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the ACC. I think that probably would go to that guy down in Durham, Darian Mensah. He's legit. Or Beck.
Or Beck's having a good year too. Yeah. I'd put him in the top 5 though.
Yeah, for sure. Defense, man. Anything else you want to add on defense?
I will just say, I mean,
well, let me tab this too, because I had mentioned and gave praise for Carolina's defensive line in their relentless pursuit to tackle in the backfield, and when Chandler Morris scrambled outside of the pocket to try to make something play, they were able to get to him and drag him on the ground. So being able to finish those plays. But another moment, we talk about the Andrew Simpson PI. I mean, the Andrew Simpson interception, the Marcus Allen PI that shouldn't have been called. I think we can all agree on that. That was a bogus call. Should have been an interception. But while I do think the secondary, and I'll touch on this real quick before we transfer to offense, while I do think the secondary has done a really good job the last 2 games, defense as a whole, last 2 games has been playing great football. If you had a chance to win the game down at the very end the last 2 games and just couldn't get it done. But one of the key moments that I think that isn't talked about enough with Carolina is the Marcus Allen missed tackle down there by the sideline. We were right there at that play, and I watched him. I mean, you got to shoot, you got to hold on for dear life. Don't sling him. You know what I mean? I don't know. In that situation, I think he could have probably took a better angle and maybe tried to drive him out of bounds. But this play right here was definitely one to me that doesn't get talked about enough. Because I think we're up 10-3 at this point. And then Virginia, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on that though, Trevor.
I don't remember the score, but I remember it was, I was frustrated. And that's a glaring, I think, I believe that's Harris, one of their best wide receivers. And not to make excuses, but that's where a Thaddeus Dixon is probably on him right there,
Yeah.
But so yeah, that was frustrating. But Marcus, I mean, he stayed out there, and he should have had an interception. Should have had an interception later on. He made a play, So yeah, hopefully he'll learn from it. But yeah, that was very frustrating.
Yeah, and Tar Heel Tony, he said it too here at the bottom. Defense is much better. Open field tackling needs work. I've said it, man. Trevor, you had talked to me about. I think there was one player, I can't remember who it was, made an open field tackle, and he was like, "Troy, you said it yesterday. You criticized these guys at open field tackling." That's one, man, that I will say you'd like to have back. Does Virginia go on and still score? Maybe, possibly, but at that, you have to make that play. You have to do whatever you have to do to keep them out of the end zone, especially in that moment and that point of the game. To me, that's a play that's not talked about enough. He said late to line up on that play. Maybe I didn't see it early on. I just know he didn't make the tackle, and it resulted into points.
Yeah, and there's one talking about this made me think of this, and I'll stop, but I don't want to go. There's one play that frustrated me too, man, and it was early. I believe it was first quarter. There was two big bodies that took their time getting off the field, and we got a flag for early in the game. It didn't end up in points, but it was just effort, man, was not there early in the game when they were running off, and ended up in a flag and an automatic first down. So if we're gonna praise them, I do want to be honest and say that hopefully that we don't see that happen again, because that's something where if I'm the coach, I don't know who the two players were, but they're sitting beside me for a little while before they go back on the field. But overall, man, there's not much to complain about with this defense. And like we said, they're getting better and better each week. So it's going to be fun. And this, keep in mind, Steve brought in some of his guys, but this staff has not had a full year to recruit and build in the portal. So I'm very excited.
And bring guys in to establish a culture.
System.
Yeah, right? Establish a culture with them. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the success that Carolina is, or the growth that we're seeing from this Carolina team as a whole, as guys are buying in. And Jordan Shipp said this after the game on Saturday is, with all the talk and everything that's been going on within the media and everything, he really feels like, and the guys within the locker room really feel like it's Carolina versus the world. And, you can see, I think what we're starting to see is guys buying in to the system and the culture and wanting and fully locking in on the task at hand. I'm not saying they weren't doing that before, but anytime you get a surge of success like this, generally is a telltale sign that guys are starting to get on the same page. And with the team that had 70 new guys that came in on campus within the span of 6 months, that's, it takes time. It takes time to develop. And that probably sounds like an easy answer, a cop-out answer, but I do honestly think that that's the truth. I think what we're seeing now is guys are finally getting on the same page with each other. Guys are finally starting to trust each other in doing their job. Now, are there definitely things that need to be cleaned up? Yes. Could the quarterback play be a lot better? Yes. Could Carolina do a lot better at open field tackling? 100%. But at this point in the season, I think we kind of take what we can get. I know that's probably sounds bad to say as a fan. We obviously want our team to do as best as they can, but sometimes, man, it just ain't in the cards. You know what I mean? I was texting my dad during the game. I was like, the football gods don't hate Carolina. They just hate Bill Belichick. It ain't us, I promise.
It seems like it. I'm glad you said that. I was thinking about that earlier. It seems like at some point we're going to have some football gods go our way, right? But hey, that's all I had. Unless you got anything to add on the defense, that's all I had. I believe I wanted to. You had a clip that you sent us, and I wanted to throw this out before we turn the page to offense. This is pretty cool, man. I was on the way to the game, and you had just arrived. So this, I'm gonna if you want to roll that, we can roll that clip here. Yep. So that makes you feel good about it, Troy. So tell everybody, where was that at? And that was pregame. I guess some people tailgate and listen to our show. So
yeah, man. So I've been going to Carolina games now for, I don't know, 10 plus years. And basketball games too. I park in the same parking deck that I've parked in for years. And it's the Dogwood deck off of East Drive, I believe it is. It's right across the street from Gates. It was diagonal from Gate 6. The reason why I like parking there, it used to be so cheap to park. It was like $20. But nonetheless, I was parking, and I had my window down, just cruising. I had it down from where I had to pay the lady to park there. And I slow down to turn right to go to a park. I always park at the bottom, and I hear our song. I hear our song coming through the parking garage, and I'm like, it was like a surreal moment. It was like we've made it moment. Like it's my I made it moment almost.
yeah, shout out, and that's Caleb, one of our listeners that did that for us. So shout out to him, man. I loved it. I think it's growing on you, Troy. At first, you were like,
I was playing the air guitar at the beginning during the intro.
I love it.
Yeah, I was playing a little air guitar.
So yeah, that makes you feel good about what we do, man.
It does.
To hear that, and I think I parked in the same deck, and I believe when I was pulling in, I saw it was a big group of them. I think it was that group that I saw. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight here at 9:21, checking in with us for our Tar Pit post game. But Trev, before we get into offense, man, I want to roll a couple more voicemails that some folks left us after the game, get our quick thoughts on that, and then we'll transition to the offense and get our breakdown on that. So let's get a couple voicemails up here, and we'll go from there.
Look, all I want to say is I am very, very, very proud of our defense. Holding a team that averages 42.5 points a game to 10. Well, let's just say 10 realistically because that was regulation time. Very proud of the defense. Freddie Kitchens needs to be fired. Gio Lopez has to go. Thank you, bye.
I love the way he ended that. Thank you, bye. I'll kind of kick this one off. Yeah, stellar performance by the defense. I hope they carry it over Friday night, and not just Friday night at Syracuse, but on into the season, because some of the offenses we got coming up, we're going to need them if we're going to have a chance to stay in the game. Offense, I will agree with you on a couple of things. On one thing, I do think there needs to be, I've said it, and I'm not shying away from it. Carolina needs to have a long look in the mirror on where you want to go. And who knows, we could be having a totally, Freddie could untap some potential in our offense and just make it take off at any given moment. And I'm holding out hope that happens. But if it doesn't, I do think you have to do a full reevaluation of where you're at offensively, where you were at offensively this season, and then where you want to be at next season. You know, if Carolina makes up some ground between now and the end of the season, and they're playing much better football offensively, you squeak a couple wins out. Some of these two 1-inch losses that we've had, I mean, are we having a different conversation about our offense if we win? I don't think we're having that big of a different conversation, but I think we're singing a different tune being 4-3 as opposed to being 2-5 and 0-3 in the ACC. But, you know, can Carolina make up some gap between now and the end of the season to maybe buy Freddie some time? We'll see. I think Freddie knows that seat's a little bit warm, and that's why we're seeing Carolina has 300 and some yards of total offense against UVA, who's got a solid defense. So we'll see how it keeps going during the year. What you got, Trev?
Yeah, and I have been on record to say that I agree with that and think Freddie should have been fired. But, I mean, he's getting better each week too. It's getting better. I'm not trying to – like I said, I've flat out said it myself on here. But I've liked the way that he's adjusted. For the first time, we have an offense – the way we did in the first half, it worked for Gio, and he had 173 passing yards in the first half. Should have been 2 touchdowns if not for the fumble. So if we can continue to grow on that, and let's keep in mind too, Gio Lopez, for the first time, he says he's fully healthy now. And we've heard, there was a car accident before TCU. Bill shrugged it off, but Gio has not had full health, and obviously the injuries in the game. So he's fully healthy now. And he also just got here in the spring. So they're building this thing out. I've been on record to say it, but I'm gonna give him some credit too, because he's made some adjustments now, and it seems to be getting better. I hope it continues to do so. But if it doesn't, 1,000% I'm with you. And I feel the same way about Gio too. He seems like he's getting better each week. We'll see where he's at the end of the year. I know he's getting paid a good amount of money, so we need to see some improvement there as well.
I do want to shout this comment out right here. Shout out to the freshman son from Joel's Grass Patch Monsters. I love that username. Shout out to the freshman that's played. I appreciate the coaching staff getting him in now. I do think that's been awesome to see. You've got some young guys that are getting some burn and getting some PT and being put in some tough moments. I mean, you look at Nathan and Madrid. I mean, those two guys are youngins and have had two key moments that could have won Carolina the game or tilted it more in our favor. And I think that they'll learn from it. But I do agree. I love to see the freshmen play, and they're playing, but they're also producing is a good thing.
I agree. I will say though, I don't know why my dude Chris Culliver's not playing. That boy's a playmaker. I don't know if there's some health issues or what, but Chris can make plays. I will go to my grave saying that dude's a playmaker. If nothing else, he should be on special teams.
I was just about to say
1,000%.
Will Hardy, and nothing against Will. I think he's been playing great too. But for the life of me, I don't know. I mean, I guess the one thing and the most important thing about being on punt return or kickoff return too is catching the football. And obviously I think Will does that at a pretty great clip, or else he wouldn't be back there. But in terms of a speed guy, I did like to see Vari Green back there. I thought that was pretty cool. I think he had about 16 return yards, which obviously you probably like to see a little bit more, but that's the first time we've seen him out there this year. I think we even saw Jalen McGill get some burn in special teams. I could be wrong on that, but it's awesome to see the freshman play.
Yeah, I would like to see Culliver on kickoff for sure. He ran two, maybe 3 touchdowns back last year too. I know for sure. So that's my only thing with that. But we got voicemail, right?
Let's get this other voicemail going.
What's up, fellas? This is Andrew. Yesterday was interesting because the offense is about as frustrating as one could imagine. They seem like they can't get out of their own way. You know, the fumble down at the goal line for the second week in a row. Gio Lopez it's like he's panicking in the pocket. But I am seeing some growth from the defense. Some great signs yesterday, especially with the front. The ability to get pressure on Chandler Morris was amazing to see. I think they said that he'd only been sacked 6 times all year, and we got, 5 or 6 yesterday? Melkart Abujide is looking fantastic coming off the edge. So we're seeing growth, especially from that defensive unit. It's something that, after the Clemson games a couple weeks ago, it seemed like the entire team was a mess. But right now, Steve Belichick, I got to give him credit when it's due. I've been very critical, but I got to give him credit. He's got that unit looking good. So very pleased with the defense. I think we're going to win some games. I think we're right there, on the verge of pulling it out. We could very easily have beaten Cal. We could very easily have you can argue we should have beaten Virginia yesterday. But, so we could be sitting at 4-2. We're at 2-5, 4-3, but we're 2-5. It is what it is, but I think we're going to win some games. I feel good going into Syracuse. I feel good looking ahead to State. I think we've got a chance to really finish the season strong. It's been rough. We feel like we're a snake-bitten team, but I really do think that we're going to win a couple games down the stretch, especially if the defense continues to progress. If the offense can get something going, we're going to be all right, and I think it's going to give us some good vibes going into the offseason.
Yeah, shout out to Andrew. We actually had Andrew on one of our shows, our post game. I think it was one of our post game episodes. Great football mind. He's actually going to be on. He was on the Diamond, I believe it is. The podcast we've got coming up on that. So super excited for Andrew. He's a great mind. Stay on the lookout for that. He was on the Diamond. That's going to be a great show covering all things Carolina baseball. But yeah, man, I'll agree. One of the things I'll bring up here as we get into offense a little bit more is is their ability to shoot themselves in the foot way too often. I will agree with Andrew on that. They cannot seem to find a way. And my dad texted me that during the game. Every time they do something good, it's like they take 2 steps forward, they take 1 step forward and 3 steps back way too often throughout the course of the game. And when you've got a defense that's playing like ours has the last 2 games, you have to capitalize. You have to play better complementary football. And I think that's where Carolina's at with it. Are we seeing improvement along the offense? Yes, 100%. Bill said it. You've got a combination of multiple guys getting 5% better as opposed to one guy getting 90% better. And rising tides, lift all ships. And I think that's what we're seeing right now is guys that are getting better each and every day of practice. And it's resulting onto the field. Have there been some frustrating endings to the last 2 games? Yes. But these things only make you better. I mean, they do. And I guess that to me is a little bit why I'm more optimistic like Andrew. I do think we're going to win some of these games coming up. I do think we're going to put it together on offense and finally get to where we can get over some of these humps that we're just not able to get over right now. And it's a learning curve. But I'm remaining optimistic for the rest of the season. I think we got a good chance to finish this year out right. And who knows? You go on a streak to end the season. You could go 6-6 and squeak into a bowl game. So we'll see, man.
Completely agree. You nailed all of that. And if we're gonna get it rolling, and we had to go through these pain to go on a roll here at the end, especially with the teams we're playing, I'm all here for it. So.
I know, right? I know. Let's beat the Tobacco Road teams. Let's beat Wake Forest. Let's beat Duke. Let's beat NC State. Screw it. Let's just go undefeated in the state.
That's
Why not?
right. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
maybe we'll get another ring for that.
No, we're searching for other rings now.
Yeah, that's right. Let's jump into offense, man. Trevor, I'm gonna let you jump into it, man. I'm gonna let you we'll get into it real quick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna run through the numbers real quick. So I mentioned this earlier. Gio ended with 208 yards, and one of the biggest things for me, which like I mentioned earlier, I don't know what changed in the second half. I'll have to go back and watch. But in the first half, man, I think if you would have told me his stats going in the half, he was 17 for 25 passing, 173 yards, a touchdown on the ground, and should have had a passing touchdown too, or right there at it, So if you would have told me he had those stats going in the half, I would have been like, wow, that's a drastic difference from what we saw early on in the year. Ship, like you mentioned earlier, Ship had 6 targets, 6 receptions, 61 yards at half. I don't know what Kobe's numbers were, but he had a solid game. Tucker was getting involved. We were doing a lot in the passing game that I love to see. And I thought that we would continue to build off that. It didn't happen in the second, but the offense, like I said, is getting better. It seems there's still a lot of improvement. Gio, there was a couple throws that I mentioned it earlier. I don't think he should have made, but it was a game that we had to get more from the offense, and we didn't. So we'll just build off of that and hopefully keep going. I will say one thing here as a whole. I think Davion Gauss has earned himself some more touches. I believe he had 3 carries for like 30 yards, averaged 10 a carry, broke a 25-yarder, caught the touchdown there late. But we've got some dudes in this running back room, and again, this is a room that all these guys should be back next year, right? So we got a lot to build on. We'll see how Freddie continues to grow, hopefully as a coordinator throughout the season. And because keep in mind, this is his first year as an offensive coordinator in college. I mean, he's coordinated NFL teams, but so we'll see where this thing goes.
Yeah, 208 yards of 208 passing yards, or I think. Let me see. Yeah, 208 passing. It always messes with me because they say 208 passing, but then you also have 208 receiving, and I don't know why, but it's confusing to me which one to say. But 208 passing or receiving, whichever one you want to look at it, I think is the most that Carolina's had in the game this season. And you look at am I wrong when
I think you might be wrong about that one for most in a season. I know 173 was most in a half, but I think Gio had more last week against Cal. I'm not positive though. but it's close to it.
I could be wrong on that. That's why we
might be right. We need a fan. We need somebody comment and let us know. But I know 173 is the most.
Gio threw for 167 total last week against Cal.
Well, you may be right then.
If I'm not mistaken, 208 is the most that we've had in a game this season. But nonetheless, Jordan Shipp looked to be a staple part of that offense. And you can go and look at Kobe's, fumble there at the goal. I thought it was wild because we're sitting here. We went from reviewing what I thought we were reviewing, whether he touched the pylon and his foot was still in bounds or not, to them coming over the loudspeaker saying the runner fumbled the ball and it fumbled out of the end zone. Therefore it's a touchback. And I'm like, just that, like on the first drive of the game, I think it was. And it's like 2 weeks in a row, we shoot ourselves in the foot. And I do think, and I'll piggyback off of what Andrew just said. You look at through the course of the last two games, I feel like the defense has done a lot better job at finishing plays and doing the little things right. I do hate that rule too. I had Justin Jefferson on my fantasy team one year and got burned by this, and it costed me a matchup for that. And ever since then, it's been a controversial call throughout the course of a football game. I hate the rule too. I do. But it seems like the defense is doing a lot better job at doing the little things right in order to set yourself up and put yourself in positions to, go win a football game. And you look at, some of the things that Carolina's doing on offense. I do think a big part of our issue is number one, we've got to have better. We've got to have better QB play. I do think Gio did some really good things that first half. The second half, I need to go back and look at the game a lot more. Maybe we'll talk about this when we talk about Syracuse. But I don't know if it was more of Virginia did X amount right, or we just went away from doing X amount right and just started doing it wrong and went back to some old habits. But I just feel like the defense is a step ahead of the offense across the board right now. And they're especially the last 2 weeks. Now we'll see how it goes as we continue to progress throughout this back end of the schedule. We don't have any more bye weeks, so they've got plenty of live reps to grow and get through it. But I was pleased to see with what we've done in the passing game. I thought it was a more balanced attack, and I'd said it to you, Trevor. I think one of the keys to Carolina's success against Virginia was their ability to get back to some consistent kind of running game. We rushed for 145 yards this game, I believe. And so that helped us out. And that was we were able to get a consistent running game, which obviously helps you in the passing game. But defense kept giving Carolina plenty of chances to win this game, and the offense just couldn't get us there. And even with all the struggles that we had throughout the course of the game, you're still an inch away or getting the ball out like a half a second sooner and having a chance to go ahead and win the game and win by a point, and it just didn't fall our way.
Yeah, I'll say the biggest thing is the offense keeps shooting themselves. Like we keep shooting ourselves in the foot with the 2 turnovers that could have been touchdowns from last week and this week. How many times that we saw false starts to open a drive, like shooting ourselves in the foot. Gio holding the ball too long, taking a sack. And I'll go on record. I think if the caller had it earlier on the voicemail, and we got 2 more voicemails to listen to before we wrap this up. But if we roll him to the right, if we roll him to his hand side, I guess you would say, I think we're probably celebrating right now. Or if he gets the ball out a little quicker. So
yeah, I would say
to go off of with that.
Yeah, I will say if I can bring up the 2-point play, we'll kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone with this, because I did go in depth on this play. I've been meaning to say it. So number one, we can't roll Gio out to the left side. Like the right is the only play. I mean, you can, but it makes no sense to go to the short side of the field, guys. It doesn't. Like if you're going to run this play, in Alabama, their ball position was more in the middle of the field than what ours was. Ours was more so on the left side. You can see that right there. It's more in the middle of the field. Ours was pure over towards the left hash mark, and there's no way we can run it to Gio's strong side because there's not enough space there for the play to develop. But long story short, Ty Simpson gets this ball out, and I've got my notes here. From the time my biggest thing with this play is not which way Gio rolled out, but the time it took him to throw the ball. The time it took him to throw the ball from Benjamin Hall turning his head. Ty Simpson got the ball out from the time that run. I don't know what the player's name was, but from the time that route runner turned his head in his route, Ty Simpson had the ball out in a half a second. 0.36 is how quickly he had the ball out. Gio on that same play with those same statistics, he got the ball out in 1.7 seconds from the time Benjamin Hall turned his head in his route. That, to me, is the biggest thing with this play. You go from a half a second getting the ball out. I mean, you look at let's see if I can bring the Alabama. Look, half a second right there from the time the player turns his head in his route. That's a half a second he's got the ball out. 0.36 to be exact. Look, he scrambles out. That's 1.7 seconds that it took him to get the ball out of his hands from the time Benjamin Hall turned his head in his route. That to me is the difference in scoring and not scoring in that play.
I completely agree there. And we yelled, like I said at the beginning, the whole section yelling 28, 28, 28. And if he gets it out sooner, Benjamin Hall is probably one-on-one and 10 doesn't have a chance, or he's one-on-one with 10 and somebody doesn't have it, because Benjamin Hall beat the first guy, but 10 had time to get over there and make the play, so I completely agree.
Yeah, by the time, and I will say this, receiver, we bring up Marathon Man's comment right here. Receiver was too far off the goal line. Do I think that Benjamin Hall could have ran the route a little bit deeper? Yes. You almost want to hug the goal line because even if you do get stopped, you can still stretch a little bit further. He had to fight to even have a chance to stretch the ball out. So, yeah, do I think that they could have ran the play a lot better? Yes, but to me, the difference between it's the same exact play that Alabama ran against South Carolina. It's the same play to a T. It's just the receivers were flipped because they were more in the middle of the field, and we had to run the play to the short side. If you look, they had their 3 receivers on the left. We had them on the right. It was a hell of a play, man. It's just those little things can determine the outcome of a football game, and unfortunately for us, it did. I do think that half a second that Ty Simpson got that ball out, that's the reason why that play was made. And
game of inches and a game of seconds, right?
Yep, that's right, man. It's I had to break that down because there's been a lot of talk, and Trevor, I'm not cracking on you when I say this, about rolling, because you have advocated for it. And yes, while I do think it makes more sense to roll Gio out to his left, and he may be more accurate rolling to his right as a lefty. I don't know the statistics. We don't have the in-depth statistics. I don't know what those analytic statistics are called, but we don't have it that in depth. But what I will say is, with that play, you had to roll him out to his right. I do think he could have got the ball out a lot sooner. Benjamin Hall probably could have ran the route a little bit deeper. There's a lot of factors that could have went into it, but nonetheless, Marathon Man said made a hell of a play regardless. We were close. We were right there. It's 2019 Clemson vibes all over again.
Let's just keep building, bro. Day by day, inches by inches, right? We're getting better. So I completely agree, though. So we'll see. We got a big one coming up. Quick turnaround Friday against Syracuse. We'll be here to break it down, but I'm excited about the growth we've seen, man.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can keep stacking good days and see what this thing will turn into.
All right, real quick, man. I'm good on the offense. I know you are. I'm with you. Keep stacking days, and we'll just keep looking for this team to get better, man, on both sides of the football. But we got 2 more voicemails we want to get to real quick, and then we're going to send this thing off the only way we know how. So let's get these 2 voicemails going, and we'll end the show, and yeah, we'll be good.
What's happening, fellas? This is Carolina Chubbs checking in. should have won this game. Multiple touch. No. We should have won this game, 20-10, 23-10, something like that. We should have won this game, and it should have never went to overtime. One thing I will say, though, is I'm extremely proud of this defense. I'm extremely proud of this defense and what they did and how it's coming together. I'm thinking that this is just the beginning for us. I think it's coming together. I think we got a lot of guys playing with high motor, high effort. Man, I'm proud of that defensive line. They did a hell of a job out there. One thing I'm frustrated about, the quarterback position. As I'm sure we all are frustrated about the quarterback position, it makes my throat itch when I sit up and I watch us dink and dunk in the first half and do well and get some good things going. And in the second half, it's like he forgets how to pass the damn football. That makes my ass itch as a Carolina football lifer. Carolina Tar Heel lifer. It makes my ass itch that I have to watch such up and down, mostly down, wishy-washy, mostly washy quarterback play, especially in games that the defense plays well and keeps us in the game, and the offense sputters and plays inconsistently as it does. It's a reflection of the play caller, and it's a reflection of the quarterback that's supposed to be executing. I don't know that we have better options, so I can't complain about going to Max. I can't complain about going to Newkirk, or I can't complain about going to Baker because it's looking like Baker probably won't play this season. He's probably going redshirt. But one thing I will say is this. I don't want this on my roster next season. I don't. It has to change, fellas. It has to change. He's got to go.
You're on mute, Troy. I think he might have got cut off there because it went long. But shout out Carolina Chubbs. That's our boy. We're day one supporter. Appreciate you calling in, man. But I won't harp on too much of what you said because we've said it all day. I hope we get it figured out because I don't want your ass to keep itching. So we can get that figured out.
I'm gonna have to start using that one.
Yeah, but I mean, he hit the nail on the head right there. We're going to have to get Carolina on a show with us one day. We're just going to need to bring him on live with us.
I'll say this, man, Gio, it has been frustrating. Sorry if you hear my dog back there flapping his ears. He just woke up from a nap. It does make it it is frustrating to see because, coming into it, we had Bryce. He was rolled out as a prize recruit at a basketball game, right? Cool. We wanted him back. Penn State made a hard push for him. And then, insert Gio and don't get me wrong, looking at tape on Gio coming into this season, if you would have told me we would be utilizing him the way we have been all season, I probably would have said that you were crazy. But nonetheless, I do think this offense has been terrible majority. I mean, I'm just calling it like it is. This offense has been terrible majority of the season. It only makes it more frustrating on him because now it seems like we're catching up, and the one spot that's the weakest right now is our quarterback. And who knows? Gio may put it together. There was talks of him. This is the closest he's been to full health since he got to Chapel Hill. I mean, he got in a car wreck 2 days before or a day before the TCU game and just seemed to be battling some injuries leading up to it. But nonetheless, I think the key to wherever Carolina goes this season and how we finish it relies and pretty heavily on how we do at the quarterback position. So, but I'm giving him some grace for now.
Yeah, I agree. We got one more. We'll roll real quick.
Yep.
Hey, fellas. It's Coach Steve. I'll try and keep it brief. So the ACC has gotten a lot of positive attention and all this other stuff about the, let's call it transparency of showing the live feed from the Review Center in Charlotte on the broadcasts of ACC games. However, if you watch those broadcasts and you listen to the feed, they try and go about, instead of trying to prove or disprove what happened on the field, instead of trying to focus on the call on the field, they focus on trying to overturn the call and seeing if there's a way to overturn the call, which is counter to how review rules are actually dictated and what you're supposed to do. On top of that, I'll put this lightly. There's been some pretty questionable officiating in the ACC this season, especially with UNC. Do you guys believe that the ACC deserves credit and accolades for the, I guess we're calling it transparency with the Review Center, or do you believe that there needs to be more people in the UNC media space that actually ask, hard, legitimate journalistic questions and start asking questions about what's going on with the ACC officiating? Thanks, guys. Enjoy the show. Have a good one.
You want to take that? You want to take that one? You want?
Yeah, I'll say shout out to Steve. He is a supporter for day one. Appreciate you, Steve, calling in. Appreciate your support, buddy. But maybe they're just getting used to the new process. I don't know what they got going on, but I know that I saw an SEC official get suspended this week. I would like to see some harsh punishments come on some ACC officials, because how long have we seen this crap go, and it doesn't seem like there's any accountability that you can see. So, yeah,
the ACC has had a long-standing tradition of frustration, and it's been growing amongst college football. A lot of people are waking up to just how horrendous the ACC officiating is at times, and then we sit there and we say this, and then I think last year's championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame, I think they had two ACC officials, or they had like one official from each conference, and they didn't really seem to mess it up. I mean, they were on top of their game. But when talking about the review process, when there's a call made on the field, and it's to my understanding that they do look for enough evidence to overturn. So say if there's a question on, say they call it a catch on the field, right? They're going to go back and look for enough evidence to overturn the call that's on the field. And if there's not enough evidence on the in the video to overturn the call on the field, then they're going to keep it as the call on the field. It's going to be upheld. It's not going to be reversed. So I have seen the ACC, I do like what the ACC has done with providing the in-depth look, behind the scenes look, I guess you could say, and what goes into some of those calls. I was at the game on Saturday, so I don't know exactly if they showed like an inside look. I think the headquarters or wherever they do the reviewings up in New York. I could be wrong about that too, but I do know, to answer your question, Steve, if there's a call on the field, they will look for enough evidence to overturn the call. They to check that box off the list, I guess you could say.
We saw that enough against Cal. We saw exactly, but we saw that, and it felt like they were just trying to show their new process on ESPN to everybody. Is what it felt like. So go ahead.
I do like that though. I've watched I saw a good bit of it, the Cal and Duke game, when I stayed up real late to watch Cal and Duke play. I think it's a great feature. It's the first time the ACC has allowed that behind the scene access to what goes into some of those calls, whether they're reversed or upheld. But to answer his question, they do look for evidence to overturn the call on the field. It's just it's either upheld or overturned, one of the two.
Yeah, I'd like for them to review flags going forward if they do that. I don't know. Do they do that?
I don't know. I don't know if you watched it, but the Thursday night game was the weirdest officiated game that I've seen as long as I've been watching NFL football. They were reviewing stuff and they would come up with like conclusions, different scenarios, like how they reviewed Kobe Paysor, whether he was in or out. and then they ended up reversing the call and giving the ball to Virginia. It was like more than one scenario like that, and it was the most mind-boggling thing to me. I'm like, since when were they able to do all of this? It was crazy to me.
Yeah,
So.
I completely agree.
Well, Trev, you got anything you wanna drop in here before we jump off?
That's all I got, man. Just want to appreciate all. We got about 300 in here with us right now, so appreciate all the support. That's all I got. Always fun to do this with you, buddy. It's a lot easier to do these when we have a good performance to talk about. So didn't get the result we wanted, but this team's getting better, and hopefully we can continue to do so.
Yeah, I'll give a quick final thought here. I'm still locked in with this team, man. I've liked the showing that we've put out the last 2 games, more on the defensive side. I think the offensive side is still a step behind, but we're getting there. We're starting to see that. We're starting to see weapons being utilized, guys stepping up, making plays. I think right now where we're at on the offense is just little things that we've got to clean up. We've got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. We've got to stop making Carolina Chubb's ass itch on the offensive side of football. So I think we're going to get there, man. Trust the process. I said it to Noah on Friday that this team and this staff, from what we've seen and what we've been able to hear, it's been locked in and bought in on the process. And they're remaining steadfast in that approach, getting better every day, and rising tides lift all ships. I love that saying. Partially because I live here at the beach, but it's one of those things, man. We just got to keep supporting this team, supporting the staff. Don't let all the outside noise distract you from the task at hand. That seems to be the mindset of this team, and that's the mindset I'm taking about it. We were there Saturday, man. We had a great time sitting there watching the game, all of us together on Saturday.
Yeah, that was shout out to Chris, man. And I said I love doing this with you because I do, but I miss Chris right now. We had for the viewers out there, he will be joining us back. We said that we had to pay him a lot of NIL. That check bounced, so we're trying to work that out, that NIL deal. He's had some health issues and seriousness, but Chris will be back with us soon, so we miss him. But I had to bring that up. But yeah, that's those seats yesterday. I was glad that it felt good to be able to sit together and watch a game.
Yeah, somebody said great atmosphere Saturday. I thought it was too. With the way the last home game went against Clemson, I just knew I actually told my buddy Mike, I was like, I highly doubt that there's a lot of people here. It's 12 o'clock. It's a noon game. I said, it's the product on the field hadn't been all that, so there's probably not going to be a lot. And I look over, student section's got a good amount of seats in it. Fans are up cheering. It was a good time on Saturday. Not the atmosphere. I mean, not the result that we wanted, but certainly I was too, honestly. It was not the result we wanted, but the atmosphere was great nonetheless. So, guys, that's all we've got tonight. I do want to drop a mention to you guys. Don't forget about our code at Shrunken Head. We have partnered with Shrunken Head Boutique on Franklin Street, and also Tailgate by Shrunken Head. So if you go and you shop online, their website is below. If you shop online, you can use the code Tar Pit Pod in store or online at both stores. Receive 15% off online or in store. So we're thankful for Shrunken Head, thankful for 140 Social. We're looking forward to getting back to there for the next home game. But thankful for all you guys listening tonight as well. Whether you're listening from Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, however you're catching us, you listen to us on Spotify. I had my buddy Nick tell me that he downloads all of our episodes from from Spotify and goes back and listens to them throughout the course of the week. That's dedication.
Shout out Nick. Yeah.
Shout out to our guy Nick. So we just appreciate the support, guys, on all of our stuff. We enjoy doing this. We enjoy covering Carolina. Win, lose, or draw, we're here to talk about it all. So we'll send this thing off the only way we know how, and that's until next time. Go Heels.
Go Heels.
Hey Tar Pit crew, thanks for hanging with us today. Quick shout out. Today's episode is powered by Untapped Sports Network. Big thanks to them for the support. If you like this episode, do us a favor. Like it, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. That kind of support goes a long way in keeping the podcast rolling. Make sure you're subscribed and following the Tar Pit Podcast on whatever platform you're listening on right now. And don't forget to follow us on social. We're on X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search the Tar Pit Podcast and you'll find us. Until next time, go Heels.